Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, your significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, this show is for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create a life you love or love the life you create. Now, here's your host, Dr. April, and co-host Coach K.
Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. How are you doing, Coach K?
I am doing amazing today. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah. How has your week been?
My week has been really good. I moved into my new office space this week, so I'm really excited about that. And I actually helped to bring my great niece into this world because I'm a doula and I helped deliver her. So I'm excited.
Really? Wow. Yes. So you were in the birthing room?
Yes, I was her doula through her process. So it's exciting to watch my niece give birth to my great niece.
Okay. Yeah, and it's actually kind of in some ways tie into what we're talking about, both of those things. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Our topic today is vagina. It's not a dirty word, and it's not what people are going to like, what are we going to really talk about? But kind of exactly what you were saying in the sense, your new office, that's a new transformation for you?
Yes, absolutely. No more working from in one of the bedrooms. My kids now all have their own room, and I'm here.
Great. Yes. Yeah, which is amazing because as entrepreneurs, sometimes it's like it's a lot to undertake and to have your own space.
Yeah, that it's been a long time coming, but I'm excited.
Good. Awesome. Yes. And this week is also the week before Easter. Do you have any Easter plans?
I don't have any major plans just yet. With every holiday for us, it's throw something against the wall and see what sticks. And so we'll see.
Good.
How about yourself? Yeah. You have any plans?
I don't have any plans, but I'm also in a transformation of hopefully getting a new place. So it's going to change everything, even my work situation, everything. So I'm excited about that. Yes. Yeah. Well, I want to talk to the audience a little bit about our nonprofit for this upcoming month. Of course, as a mental health counselor, the physical health is so important also. And one of our local organization, which is called Premier Mobile Health, they provide physical treatment for people in Lee County. And so they have a mobile health. So they have a little, mobile thing that they go around and provide health.
Nice.
So they have over 10,000 visitors. And if you're out there and you're thinking, hey, I want an organization to help, premiermobilehealth.org. So let's get in and talk about our topic of the day. I'm so excited. Yes, this vagina is not a dirty word. Do you know what this topic is about?
I don't want to give it. Intrigue me.
So, of course, from what I'm understanding, there's some of us who have vaginas, and we are powerful.
It's a beautiful. When I hear vagina, I really think of power. I think of boldness. I think of beauty. I think of light. I think of life. So many amazing things that I just automatically think of.
Right. And even as you were just saying, which you didn't know, your grandniece coming through a vagina, that power that only a vagina can do. Yes, of giving birth. It's just amazing how we can give birth to a variety of things, not only to, of course, children, but birth to new concept, new ideas, a variety of things in life.
Yeah, and the healing properties of it. You can't even get started on that.
Yes. Well, let's take a break. And when I come back, we're going to have someone who's an expert about the vagina and that it is not a dirty word. I'll be back in a moment.
Are you a business professional? Dr. April Brown's latest book is for you. Whether you are newly hired or managing a team of employees, her 30 intimacy-driven business principles will help you progress towards career success. Learn how to show up as your best self at work, what it means to cultivate a meaningful career, and how to avoid burnout, all while living up to your highest professional potential. Improving Intimacy, the book for business professionals, is available on Amazon in Kindle, Audible, and paperback. Search Dr. April Brown on Amazon to view all her books on improving intimacy for yourself, spouse, spirit, and more.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Welcome, Karin.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I've been back here backstage listening, feverishly nodding, like loving everything that you've been saying so far.
Awesome. Yes. Well, let me introduce you out to our audience, Karin Freeland. I mean, she is amazing. She is what we call a recovering corporate workaholic, which all of us, including myself, can definitely identify. After years of high pressure leadership at Fortune 500 companies, she has traded the boardroom for the bedroom. Yes, exactly. And her hilarious all-tell book, The Ins and Out of My Vagina, a penetrating memoir, she recounts the mishaps and misadventures she's had over the past 40 years with a special partner in crime, her vagina. And you do not look 40 at all.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and she's there for women of all ages can relate to this raw and honest journey of first long-term relationship and finding pleasure. Yes, and you guys don't know, but you've also been on soap operas.
Oh yes, back in the day.
Yes. And she's a dance queen. Yeah, and a dance queen. Yes.
Yes. I used to dance on Caliente, which was like a dance show for the Spanish channel. I mean, I have done some really interesting things.
Yes. And now you are a life and reintervention coach, which is amazing.
Yeah. Yes. And I love everything you've been saying, transformation. I'm like, yes, that is like my whole life. It's just been this big transformation lately and really figuring out like, what do I want to do with my life? What is the legacy I want to leave? And how can I help other women achieve their goals and their dreams, just like I did in writing my book. So it's been a huge blessing to find this path.
Oh, awesome. Yes. Yeah. And so we start off every show and asking our guests, how do you define intimacy?
Oh, gosh. So I've had to change my definition of intimacy because I think for so long, and I think probably a lot of people can relate to this. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is sex. Well, sex is intimacy. And that we miss out on so many intimate moments if that is the only definition that we have. So I would say to me, intimacy is knowing yourself, knowing your body, loving what your body is capable of doing, and just being happy with that, being in the moment of that. So that's my definition at this stage of my life. And I'm sure it will change again as I continue to evolve.
Right. I love that definition about knowing yourself. Mm-hmm. Yes. When did you feel like that was important in your life to start to know yourself?
Well, I would say initially it sort of happened around like 2008, 2009, when I was just first engaged and getting married and having my first son. Mm-hmm. That was kind of like the moments where I was like, whoa, like, what is my body really capable of? Like, what do I have going on over here? What do I want from a marriage and from a sexual relationship? So that was kind of like the first instance, but very quickly, the throes of motherhood and having a big corporate job and climbing the ladder got in the way of a lot of that. And I sort of forgot who I was for quite some time. And then it was around 2019 where I had a midlife crisis. And most people, as soon as I say that, they're like, oh, you're not old enough. But let me tell you, I had a midlife crisis. There's no age limit on that. And it was in those moments of self-discovery that I realized, whoa, I have been so misaligned from my heart center. Like, I have got to get back to who is Karin? Who do I want to be? And how do I create this space in this life that I love and that I'm proud of and that I want to actually wake up and live every day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that it's so interesting. That happens to a lot of us as mothers. You know, we get married and we have kids, and then people start to pull.
Yeah. And we just go, oh, I'm a mom. Right. And then
Right.
we literally identify as a mom. And that is a beautiful identification. I don't want to take that away from any mother. I mean, we worked hard. We earned that title. Right? Like, 9 months of pregnancy alone deserves the title mom. Okay. But then it becomes one-dimensional. It becomes the only thing that we are. Or we become only our job. For me, that was more of my problem. I identified more with my job than with being a mom, but I see both in my clients. And so, you know, when you start to get one-dimensional, you're losing all the beauty that is in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of people do like to tell you what you're going through or what you're not going through. And you have to say, whoa, I know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And then when you're working for other people, that really just starts to also adds on, and you're trying to satisfy. And I know for some people, and even for myself, it was learning how to say no.
Yeah, putting up those boundaries.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard when you're new in a career or you're younger, because you're thinking like, well, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to get fired if I don't respond to this email from my boss at 10 p.m. when you should be intimate with your spouse, or you should be, breastfeeding your child or whatever. But instead, you got like one eye on the phone. And it does. I know we're going to talk about this later, like how workaholism can impact intimacy. And so,
Yes, well, let's dive in right now. How can it impact?
Oh, yeah.
Love to hear from both of you.
Obviously badly. But I will say it was a bit of a roller coaster. So, there are times where we would be very hot and heavy, like we would be all in. We're just like on the same page. And then all of a sudden it was like the Sahara Desert, and it would be like, 2 weeks or something without sex. And I'm going like, this is not going to work for anybody. But it killed a lot of moments. So a lot of nights, we'd put the kids to bed and I'd break out my laptop and my iPad and my cell phone. And he would be like, how many devices do you need? But I just had like a million things going on. And he would kind of snuggle up next to me on the couch, start rubbing my back. And I'd be like, I just got to get through this presentation. You don't understand. I have all this work. And it was a lot of stress that was really killing me and preventing me from just opening up and embracing those tender moments that were just spontaneously popping up. And I mean, honestly, like I worked so hard. I got so stressed at one point that I needed a mouth guard because I was cracking my teeth from grinding. Yeah. So it's not really sexy when like your husband rolls over and you're like, hey, do you want to have sex? Like, and you have like a mouth guard.
You're getting ready to play football and he's ready to touch. He's like,
seriously. So, and I mean, I laugh about it now, but it was not funny at the time to sit there and tell your dentist, like, I'm literally cracking my own teeth because I am so overwhelmed and stressed at work. And then of course, I mean, there'd be times where I really wanted to have sex and I would sort of give in and be like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And then the whole time I'm thinking of everything I have to do at work. Right. And I'm not really focused on him.
Right.
He could tell. I mean,
they can feel it too. They can feel it.
They just know, like your heart is not in it. Right. And so then I would get pissed off because he would just hurry up and finish, which in a way it was like, that's exactly what I wanted him to do because I really needed to go focus on my work. But then I'd be mad because I didn't get off and he wasn't like giving me the time I needed for my arousal. So then it's like this vicious cycle.
Mixed messages.
Right. Because he's like, okay, does she want sex? No, she doesn't. I'll hurry up. Wait, now she's mad at me because it wasn't long enough. And you know what I'm saying? And it was just like, that is sort of in a nutshell, this roller coaster of how it impacted our sex life. But then it translates more into that intimacy, because then you're kind of both walking around with a little bit of resentment to each other. And
Right.
so that spills over when you're in the kitchen, like you didn't do the dishes again, you know, and it's like, it just starts to impact every single aspect of your relationship.
Yeah, everything is escalated at that point.
Yes.
And even speaking of the way that you were saying that, they can feel that the tension, even with the energy. But if you really think about it, they can feel the tension inside of your vagina. It's not
Interesting.
relaxed. If you really think about it, it's everywhere. So they know there's different feelings. Like they know when you're really into it, the softness, the moisture. But when you're not, you're just kind of thinking, okay, I got to get this paper done. I got to answer this call. I got an email waiting for me. All of that tension is inside of that vagina, and they know what that feels like.
Wow. I did not know that. That is a good one.
Okay.
It's a beautiful muscle.
Right, it is. Yeah, and it can feel everything. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so also in that process, what made you let me go back a little bit. With the intimacy, not only with your husband, but did it also affect the intimacy with your children?
I would say so. You know, they would always be telling me, Mom, get off the phone, like come play with me. Why aren't you, you're supposed to be off today, Mom. We're at the park. Why are you on your phone? You know, when they were little, they couldn't tell. But when they started to get older, even like 4 or 5 years old, like they knew. They were sharp. And there were times where I was actually annoyed by them, and I feel terrible looking back. Like, what kind of mom gets annoyed by her children, But I just had my priorities, I think, so mixed up, and my job had become so much of my identity. And that as they got older and they started playing sports and all these things, I'm like, I am missing everything. I'm missing their school concerts. I felt really torn, a lot of the mom guilt started to play in, and I didn't want to go there because I'm like, well, it's not helping anything. Just feeling guilty about this isn't going to fix anything. And so slowly I started to try to put boundaries in, and I would leave, the office early to go and see a baseball game. But it took me years to get to that point where I was confident enough in my skill level and confident enough in my title and in my position that I had the ability to do that. And I think there's so many people out there today who are in a job and they really are afraid that they're going to get fired if they don't answer every beck and call of their organization.
Right. And if you're out there listening, if you want to chime in, please chime into this conversation. But yeah, I was even, and I think back about, this is when my daughter was, I think, in elementary school. And I was actually a school counselor, but I was a workaholic in the sense I even dropped her off at school when she didn't have school one time, which was
my gosh.
Yes. And then I've had a principal even tell me, you have to do this on a Sunday. You have to work. And I'm like, well, I have my own family. And they're like, no. So even besides the corporate America, there's institutions and there's jobs and things that put so much pressure. And as females, we're trying to prove things.
Yeah. Especially in the service industry. I was fortunate enough that it happened to me early on because I had kids early on. So, it happened for me in my early 20s. And it was kid number 3. One day I was leaving out to go to my second job because I'm working 2 jobs. And I probably didn't have to, but I felt like I needed to. And I think he walked up to it was so many kids, you don't know how many it is. So it was the youngest girl. I think she was a year and a half, 2 years old. And I was leaving out and she grabbed my leg and I said, okay, at that moment, she started to become clingy. And I said, well, I'm not here enough. My mindset shifted in that moment. And from that point forward, I only walked into a place that followed my guidelines. Yeah. And I just worked towards that until now. I just created my own. So that is it adds stress that you don't even realize that it adds to you as a parent, as a wife, as a woman, because you forget the woman piece and you put everything else in front.
And we're trying sometimes to keep up with our male counterparts. I had worked with a lot of men and I traveled a lot for work. And they didn't worry about leaving for a week because their stay-at-home wife was there taking care of the kids. And it's like, I don't have that luxury. And I remember being in England once and my husband calling me and being like, there's a snowstorm today. And I'm like, okay, you're going to have to miss work. I'm in England. I don't know what to tell you. But the stress on me of knowing that I was putting the stress on him and that he had to miss work, it just wore on me.
Yes. So what drove you to start to write? Because many people, when they're so stressed and stuff, writing is the last thing.
Right. And I will tell you, I started this book in 2009. So this was a big, big work in progress.
Right, because your crisis was 2008?
19. So 10 years later.
So
the way it went, and I write about this in chapter 30, called All Lubed Up and Nowhere to Go.
Ooh,
the titles are very fun. And I talk about how with my first son, the OB had said, you need to prepare your body for birth, which apparently entailed putting some olive oil on and doing I think it's called a perineal massage or perineal. I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah. So do this massage and it will prepare the body so that you don't tear. And I was like, okay, lady, you're crazy. I'm not doing that. But thanks for the advice. Went home. And of course, my vagina, who is named V in the book, she's a character. So she talks. We have dialogue. It's really fun. She's like, let's do it. Let's put some olive oil on me. So I go in the bathroom and I try to make it work. And it is a disaster. I mean, olive oil is flying everywhere. There's more on the floor than on V. And it's just this is not working. So I give up and my husband comes home and he's like, what the hell happened in the bathroom? And why is there olive oil in there? So I'm trying to explain something. Oh my gosh. I'm 8 months pregnant. My belly's out to here. I can't even barely see my vagina. It was just forget it. And he's like, you know what you should do? And I'm thinking, what is this guy going to tell me that I should do? But okay, lay it on me, buddy. He's like, you should write a book and call it I Don't Know My Vagina, because it's clear you have no idea how this thing works. That was it. It was his idea.
Love it.
And
awesome.
So, of course, I started writing it, but then work, kids, it all got in the way. So I would write maybe a chapter here or there every year. I'd pick it up, add to it. But eventually, when the whole midlife crisis happened, I was like, this is it. This is my story. I have got to finish it. I have got to tell other women, because for so many years, I felt broken. I felt dysfunctional. Am I the only person not having orgasms? What is going on? Am I the only person who tore during birth and now never healed? There were so many questions that I had. And the more I started to open up and talk to people, that alone feeling went away, that isolation, that, oh my gosh, this happens to you too. And I felt so validated. And I thought, how many other women are walking around there right now who their friends never told them what was going to happen during pregnancy. They feel dysfunctional. I can't let another woman sit out there and feel this way. So I have to tell the story. And that was it.
Wow. Yes.
That's powerful. I don't think we don't understand how important it is to tell our story, because it's I don't want to, lay my burdens on anyone else, but someone needed to hear it. And it's oh, I remember hearing this, so maybe I should do that. Or it's so important to tell your story.
Yeah. Right. And I loved how you said earlier, the vagina is so beautiful and so powerful and so life-giving. But I also talk about miscarriage in the book. And I never realized my vagina could be such a source of pain and this distraught feeling and questioning everything. Am I ever going to be a mother? Does God want me to be a mother? Why is this happening to me? And so I thought, although 95% of the book is comedic, I would have been remiss if I didn't share this. And I think there's so many women who are going through similar experiences or have an ectopic pregnancy and wonder if there's anyone else who's had one.
Right.
Well, now you can read the story and know that you're not alone and that there's other people going through this and that you can heal and you can have more children and, give that little bit of hope that they need in that dark moment.
Yeah. Some people don't realize the amount of stress, what it does to the body. even in the sense of having sex or even having a baby, or even like you said, even having orgasms. And being a workaholic, it's not a good thing to the female body.
Yeah.
Stop that right now. If you're a workaholic, work will always be there. That's the one thing that I can tell you. You will wake up on Monday and that work will still be there. So, but your family might not, right? Your friends may not. Like, there's too many precious moments that we can miss out on. If we're not, you know, doing what makes us truly happy.
Right. And so, and I love how you said in your book, your vagina has a personality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because don't they?
No, they do. They do.
They
So not to
totally
get too
do.
personal, but what is your vagina's character? Tell me a little bit about her.
Yeah, so she's very sassy and she's always sabotaging my life. So we introduce V right about age 14 when I am entering high school. Okay. And for me, that was sort of this that moment of puberty kind of like really setting in, where I went from awkward, like really big ears, like I kind of just didn't fit in my body, to like,
you have big ears.
Well, I don't know. I actually had them done, but that's for another time.
Sorry.
It's all good. But yeah, so like I had this moment where I was suddenly like hormones raging, and I was like, I want to hump everything that moves. Hello, boys. You know, so V kind of comes in and she's like, hey, we're gonna have sex this year. And I'm like, no, I'm not married. What? No. And there's like this hilarious banter where I'm like, okay, I have to like keep this vagina in check. Like I have to kind of like befriend her, but it's almost like keep your enemies close type of thing. Yeah. And so you just kind of watch our relationship evolve over the years, and how like we have like this love-hate relationship. Sometimes we're on the same page and sometimes we are totally different places.
Love it.
Yeah. We would love to turn it into a TV show. So like, if you read the book, I always think of it like Wanda Sykes. Like she would be such a perfect V. So if you read the book, just in your head, just do Wanda Sykes every time V talks.
That would be hilarious.
Yes.
Oh, good. Yeah. And I even think, as I'm thinking about this, for mothers out there, I think it's a good book in the sense of preparing our young females, and even for the men out there who know nothing.
Men, they're always like, I'm good in that department. I'm like, but are you?
Right.
Let's talk to your wife.
Right. I need both of you to say it collectively in order for it to be true. As a matter of fact, I want you to draw me a picture of the clitoris. Let's start there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love how you said in the beginning about knowing yourself, because many women do not know their own vagina. Or I've, done a lot of counseling, and sometimes they expect their husband to know their body, but they don't know nothing of it.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I was so excited when I saw the title of this. Vagina is not a dirty word, and it's not. And yet I can't tell you how many people I tell the title to, and they're like, oh my God, would she say vagina? Yes. Right. It's a body part, like an arm or a femur or a medulla oblongata. Right. It is the correct medical term for our body part. Yes. Do you have a problem with the word penis? Like, I just, I don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how vagina became such a nasty word, and when it really, because
it got replaced with words like pocketbook and toot and twat,
JJ or whatever. And I'm like, no. And well, it was so funny because I actually have a foreword in the book from Dr. Lori Mintz, because she had read the book and endorsed it and said, but the problem is you use the word vagina when you mean vulva. She's like, so we need to put something in the front of the book that actually explains a vagina and a vulva is different.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I kind of didn't know that until I talked to you right now. Okay. So I'm like, here I am in my 40s, still learning about my beautiful body and how it all works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But at least
let's get them young.
Yes, yeah. At least you're exploring many times. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So, on the sense of intimacy, how do you keep that spark alive? Because you guys have been together through all of this.
I know, almost 14 years of marriage, and we dated for about 9 before that. So yes, we've been together for a long time.
Since high school, then?
What's that?
Since high school or
College, freshman
college?
year.
Okay. Freshman year.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I said it earlier, but it was the same thing here. You know, I had to change my idea of intimacy. Intimacy for me and my husband now is not just sex, right? And for so long, that's what I thought of when I thought of intimacy. I'm like, what else would it be? But now it is so much of mind sex, right? Those deep, intimate conversations, the things that you would never share with anyone else but this partner.
Right.
And that to me is one of the most intimate things that we can share. And maybe because I'm a woman and I like talking about feelings and stuff, I don't know. But we had a week off without the kids over Christmas. And, you know, we made dinner together and we talked and we laughed. And to me, it was like, that was almost better than the sex. I mean, although it was really good because the kids were here, but, but it was so nice to just put our phones away and not have that conversation. And I think if you asked my husband, for him, kind of like what he considers that intimacy, he always talks about waking up in the morning. That's his favorite time of day because he loves to cuddle with me with just a little bit of the light coming through.
Right.
And he can just kind of make out my features. And he said to me, he's like, I love to see your nakedness. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm not naked. I sleep in clothes. He's like, no. He's like, you, the real you, you no makeup on. He's like, that to me is natural beauty. Just seeing you there in your element, peacefully sleeping in our bed. He's like, to me, he's like, that's the best part of my day. And I was like, that is so touching. Like,
yes.
Because I don't think that when I see you sleeping, but just kidding. So that's been really great. And then, you know, during COVID, we started, because we couldn't go anywhere. So we started just a nighttime routine where we would put away all of our phones. We would make tea. We would kind of just sit down and talk about whatever was on our mind. And he would scratch my back. Because I really need physical touch. And I don't know how you ladies feel about this. But for me, like if I go too long without getting some sort of intimate touch, then I start to like get anxious. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, for me, it depends on the day of the week and the way the wind's blowing. I'm a true to nature Gemini, so if I didn't touch it for 2 weeks, I'd be like, "Have I touched you in 2 weeks?"
Right. Yeah, for me, I'm like, I know. So I'm like, okay, you got to do something, some sort of back rub, massage, like something like that. And I think too many times we get stuck in our own routine, you know? So like, I'll ask him like, hey, any fantasies lately? Anything you want to try or whatever? And he doesn't have anything crazy. I mean, if he does, he doesn't tell me, but he'll just be like, why don't you put on a pencil skirt? Because he used to love when I would come home when I worked and I would be all dressed up. And now I don't have to get dressed up, but I still have a closet full of pencil skirts. Why not throw one on, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't. We just kind of get into our rut and our routine and we forget to go like, hey, let me just check in with you. How are you doing? You know? So my biggest advice is just speak up. You know, if you're not happy and you don't feel like you're getting the level of intimacy that you need, you have to be able to talk to the other person and explain what you need.
Right.
And the best way to do that is with I statements. Don't put it on them. Like, you're not paying enough attention to me. You don't love me enough. It's like, I would love if you'd sat down and scratched my back tonight because I'm craving some intimacy. I don't feel real connected to you tonight. Would that be okay? Right. You know, and just making it about you and what you need so that they don't get defensive.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I love how you said the best advice is to speak up because you also do coaching.
Yes, I do.
Yes. And this whole thing about the vagina is really about speaking up for what we need. And even in the sense of, because of your transformation from corporate to being an entrepreneur, it's about speaking up, speaking what you need.
Yeah, having that confidence to authentically show up and be you. Because I
Right.
put so many masks on when I was in corporate. I played a persona, I played a character and I did it well, but it wasn't always truly me. And when you do that, when you hide the real you, it impacts everything. You're not able to enjoy life to its fullest. So
Right.
you miss out on so many great moments because you're playing a character.
Right. Right. And I was just thinking about how we come into this world through a woman's vagina, and it's really sometimes not until we truly love our own self and our own vagina do we reach that level of confidence, that, hey, I can do this. I can create the atmosphere that I want to create in my life.
Yeah. And a lot of women have told me that they just can't. They're like, I can't believe you did this. I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. I could never talk about what you talk about. I could never say this word. And I want them to be empowered, right? I want them to feel like, no, I can say the word vagina and I can do it confidently.
Yeah. One thing I always say, we are blessed with two sets of lips. You have to just not open one. You have to be able to open both of them to enjoy life.
That's right. That is great. I've never heard that before. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. So if our listeners are out there and they're wanting to know, how do we get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So you can check out my website. It's KarinFreeland.com. You can also go to the ins and outs of my vagina.com to learn more about the book. But you can find everything on there, coaching and all that good stuff. I have a Facebook page, Karin Freeland Life Coaching. Of course, Twitter and Instagram. You can check me out at Karin Freeland.
Right. And where can they find the book?
Oh, my goodness. The most important thing. Yes. Yeah. Go to Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. And for people who are local to South Carolina, a lot of the local Barnes and Nobles are carrying them.
Oh, awesome.
Go get it. It's so much fun.
I'm definitely going to go get it. Yes.
It's an easy read, almost all 5 stars. So I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yes, I'm going to definitely go get it. And we're shooting for it to be a movie. Yes.
Yes. So Wanda Sykes, if you're listening.
Yeah, definitely. Right? It has been an honor to have you on the show. You're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much. Yes.
I had so much fun. I appreciate the opportunity to share it with all of your listeners. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. We're going to take a short break. And when we get back, we'll tell what's coming up in the next coming up shows.
Renew your connection and your love in beautiful Costa Rica. We'll make sure it happens. Vacation Counseling provides intimate couples retreats, including one-on-one counseling, yoga, and nature outings to help you and your partner rekindle the passion. Our experienced team of counselors works with one couple at a time to improve intimacy, communication, and more. Enroll now at vacationcounseling.com.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Yes, that was so enlightening.
It was. I cannot wait to get the book, because that's something. I'm not a reader, but I am intrigued and I want to read this book, especially in the Wanda Sykes voice.
Yes. Yeah, I never really thought about my vagina having its own little personality. And so, yeah, I'm interested in, understanding
that. It may help people open up to themselves with thinking of it like that. So I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Even as I think about it from a counseling perspective, I'm definitely going to use that in some aspects. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, Coach K, what's coming up?
Oh, I'm super excited. We have some great shows coming up. So on next week, April the 21st, we will meet Kelly Calabrese to discuss self-love for singles. On April 28th, we are going to kink it up a notch with Jacqueline Greeley. She's a kink and intimacy coach. On May the 5th, we're going to talk about why sex dies in long-term relationship with Irene Fair. She's a certified sex and intimacy coach that helps couples make love and sex work in long-term relationships. Much needed. And then that following week, we're going to have author Mandy Nuttall going to be talking about birds, bees, and the real way to explain sex to kids. Super important, super important. So just a reminder that we are here every single Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We want you to follow us on our social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And those social media platforms are Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. We're everywhere.
Definitely. Yes. Yes. And for all our listeners out there, this has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show. And if you've really enjoyed our guest today, please definitely get her book. And her name is Karin Freeland. Please get her book about the vagina. That's really going to be extremely helpful for you, and not only in your relationships with your partner, your family, but also in being who you should be in your profession. All right, then. This has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back. We hope you enjoyed it. You can also find us at bringingintimacyback.com and Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter. Dr. April Brown's 5-book series, Improving Intimacy, is now on Amazon, available in Kindle, Audible, or paperback. We'll see you next Thursday live at 3:30 p.m.